I'm Jessy Schram, and you're listening to In Her Words.
Everyone has a story. Welcome to In Her Words, a podcast from women in entertainment where female creatives and allies share their stories in their own words.
This is a dedicated space centered on how to harness creativity for inspiring and impactful projects in the ever-changing landscape of entertainment.
I'm Renee Rossi,
I'm Gretchen McCourt.
and this is In Her Words. It is so nice to meet you. We've been longtime fans. I feel like I really got to know your work really about like Once Upon a Time because I used to watch that with my stepdaughter all the time. And like, what a fun show. You just like exploded all over the place since. So we're so excited to sit down and talk to you.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I mean, that was such a monumental role for so many reasons, and I love when the connection is Once Upon a Time.
Oh, it was such a creative show. I couldn't even fathom coming up with like some of the storylines in that show, but it was just such a cool show.
It was such an interesting project to get to be a part of when I got to be a part of it, because I got to be there before everything started airing, like before they
Yeah.
knew what was working, and like not knowing how things were going to be received, and like if it was even like I just remember the producers just like really not sure that any of it was going to work.
Wow.
And
It was a risk. They took a risk.
it was
It was
a
That's
huge
exciting.
risk. Yeah, and I mean, even being cast in such an iconic role, and you're doing what you know in your brain, but so many people have their own take and experience on it. But
Yeah.
you're not just playing the original, you're now making her pregnant. And you're making
Yeah.
Rumpelstiltskin want her baby. Like you're changing what the story is. So that's a really risky and terrifying thing to do. And they were very trusting, very particular in what they wanted, but also just like, this is what we're doing. Go
Wow.
for it.
It's like
That's
I
great.
think to bring in so many different characters and how it all weaved together in terms of the storyline. It's just to be that creative and to reimagine what like all the fairy tales and bring those characters and how they interact and evolve the context
Yeah.
around them was just it was brilliant. I
Yeah.
absolutely adore the show, and my stepdaughter and I watched it obviously years ago when it aired, and we just loved it together. Like it was like our sit down on ABC.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. And it kept growing so much. I feel like
Yeah.
recently I have a co-star on Chicago Med that I remember listening to a podcast that he was doing. And it was really interesting because it was something that people during COVID watched, or when it was airing, it
Yeah.
was your sit down show. And just the effect that it had as the family, like it was the thing that brought the family
Oh.
together. And
Yeah.
it was really interesting because I never knew that he was a fan. He had never told me. But in it, he was just like, I can't with Cinderella. And it just like touched my heart so much. It like made me cry a little bit. I was like, I had no idea that I was, get to be a part of your homesickness in the way that you combined with your
Yeah.
family during that time. So the power of TV.
Great.
Yeah, and it's also like a comforting show. It had like dark elements to it, but like I also felt like it's kind of like that. It gives us completely different, but it kind of like gives that Gilmore Girls feel, like where you can sit down and watch it, and it gives like that fallish like vibe to it and
Yes,
winter
definitely.
vibe where you're like,
Storybrooke.
I want to cuddle up.
Yeah.
Like Storybrooke was just like that place where you could just like cuddle, have a cup of tea or hot coffee or whatever, and just like watch an episode because you could still watch it episodically.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
for
it was just
sure.
like, it's just like one of those feel good shows that, you can go back to because it's familiar. It's like that feeling that it evokes. It was just amazing. So
It was storytelling at its finest.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And Storybrooke really was a town that I feel like leaves just naturally rustled around in the wind there. Like, it
Yes.
really naturally did that when we were filming there
Every
as well.
season. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, you've had so many incredible roles. We were looking at your career overall. We were just reviewing our notes. And you've done everything from independent films. Now you're Dr. Hannah Asher on the hit show Chicago Med. Incredible. You've had roles on Mad Men, Veronica Mars, Hallmark Christmas movie Domination. I mean, you've done so much. We'd love to hear a little bit about how you got your start when you decided you were wanting to go into acting and how you've brought yourself to where you are today.
Yeah, I started when I was young. So I'm from Chicago originally. So getting to do Chicago Med in Chicago is such like a full circle moment. And being on the Hallmark channel, like that's what brought me out to LA. So then to get to be the lead in the movie instead of the daughter, like there's a lot of full
Wow.
circle moments that I get to experience now. But I started when I was about 10. I always wanted to be on the real TV. My brother and sister and I would make, with the big, huge shoulder VHS camera, we would make
Oh,
like the SNL-style commercials and like do plays in the backyard. And I remember there being a Harriet the Spy casting call in Chicago and a girl from my school going. And I was like, well, I can't miss out on that. I did not get called back, by the way. Everybody else did. I did not.
they missed
But I
out.
remember like telling my mom, like, "Ca- I want to be on the real TV. Like, can I do that?" And I mean, thank God for my mom. She was the one that, figured out how to find me an agent. And I got my SAG card from doing background work in commercials. So,
Wow.
pedaling in the background of insurance commercials and doing Glade plugins and had my first speaking role in a Tamagotchi commercial. Like it was
Love
really
it.
fun to grow. And I think when I was 13, I landed the role in American Girl Review downtown here in Chicago. It was the original store for the American Girls, and I got to play Kirsten, and it was my first taste of
I can
theater.
see that.
So,
I
yeah,
can see
and
that.
like, and I didn't have enough hair, so instead of like the braided things, they did the tiniest little ponytails. Like,
Cute.
but it was that thing too, which was really interesting because I wasn't in LA and it wasn't such a business here.
Mhm.
Nobody at school knew why I wasn't at school. And then all of a sudden,
Wow.
they'd go downtown to see the play because that's where I'd be going after school. That was like my after
Wow.
school job when I was 13. So I
Gosh.
started in commercials and radio and television. And I think it started out very much like I loved to perform. I loved getting reactions out of people. I loved singing to anybody who would listen. I feel like I felt shy, but then when it came time to perform, I was like front and center for everything. So I was very lucky that I had a family and a mom that was incredibly supportive. But it was always my call. She would ask me before every audition, like, "Are you sure? Are you sure
That's
you
great.
want to go in this room right now? Do you want to do this?" And I'd eat my Skittles and I'd go on in and do it. And it wasn't until I did my first pilot season in LA that I was like, "Oh, acting is more than hitting your mark and being on TV." I got to do
Yeah.
pilot season, and my first TV gig was Drake and Josh. I got kissed by Drake in that TV show, and I was there for
Was that
pilot
was that your
season.
first kiss?
My first on-screen kiss, but not my first actual kiss.
Okay. I
So,
wasn't it's like it's funny when you hear
That'd be
like young
wild.
actresses talk about it. Not to get
oh my
personal,
gosh,
but
yeah,
it's like where
no,
they're like, "No, this was my first one and everybody in the world saw it."
no, thank God. And this was like TV audience as well. So it was my first on-screen kiss, but like in front of 100 people, I guess you
Whoa.
could say too. But so I had done pilot season and things went well. And then when I just ended high school, it made sense to go to California. So I think I moved 2 days earlier because I booked a recurring gig on the Hallmark channel as Leah Thompson's daughter on Jane Doe. And
Wow.
moved to LA by myself, luckily with a job and an agent, which is completely unheard of. And from there, I guess you could say just figured out acting. I
Yeah.
had to like,
Right.
you're learning on the gig, and I've gotten to learn from everybody that I've worked with in any role that they're doing. So it was a lot of observing and a lot of trial by error and just really putting my head down and going for it the whole time. So that was my start in acting, was just loving to
That's
Wow.
perform,
awesome.
really wanting to go to the MTV Music Awards, thinking that that was like everything. And then
Gosh.
very much learning through my career, you're like, wait, it's character and, story and really developing things. And Cinderella on Once Upon a Time was one of the first things that I feel like I was given that was trusted to develop this character, and it was such a responsibility. And from there, it then became such an actor and clown classes and improv and all those different things. But started just by
Wow.
loving to get a reaction out of people and loving to imagine and get that out in the world and songwrite and all that good stuff.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Always in my
Mhm.
head. So it was natural that I would want to try it all out in a character as opposed to me, I guess you could say.
Do you it's like you've touched so many, different types of projects. Is there one that kind of format that you prefer? Like, is it television over film? Like, how do you is it stage? You know, do you want to get behind the
Ooh,
camera? The industry has changed so much over the past 20 years, you know,
It's
and
changed.
you've been around, you know, the fact that you're even saying I was part of pilot season, you know, a lot of people are not part of pilot season
I feel
or
like
have that
true.
experience.
lately on set, I'm always like, that would be so expensive if this was still film. Like, it's like I remember I was back in the day
Yeah.
when there'd be like a hair in the gate and you'd have to
You
redo
would think
everything.
you would think you're
Wow.
like 40 years older than you are based on the
Quite
wisdom you
literally.
have.
Yes, so it is that weird thing. I've gotten to be part of just an era of so much change and just be
Yeah.
going with it. I would love to be behind the camera. I want to get my hands on producing so bad. I would love to direct. I feel like that would be
Oh,
really, really great to be able to do. But that being said, I also really love to act. So to get to be part of
Yeah.
projects where you just get to be an actor, I feel like is also really a blessing where you don't need your hands in all of the pots. But I think I'm most familiar with TV and I love to work. I am a workaholic. So I think TV is
oh,
usually my medium because I love that you continue to get to grow things, and
Yeah.
you get to see your crew every day and you're there for months on end. Like I love being on set. So for me, TV is such a pleasure. Movies are so great because you do have the start and finish and you get to develop it in a different way and be inside of it in a different way. And there's a different breath that you get to use. So for me, it's more I love to do everything, and I feel like I want more exposure to things as well, but I love to work, and I love to create with others, so really just working is my jam.
Love that.
great. As
Yeah.
Dr. Asher on Chicago Med, I know you joined season 5.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if you were a fan before you joined and what that was like to get that call back. And I'm also curious now you've been doing it so long if you have input into her storyline and her character. I feel like you know her so intimately now.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so much. So my sister was a fan of the shows. Her favorite was
Oh.
Chicago Med, and I remember getting the audition being like, "You love this show, right? Like, tell me what happened." And her giving me the rundown of the 5 seasons before was very helpful. But that was something where I think I had done so many guest stars on different procedural shows and
Yeah.
knowing what the schedule was like and maybe not always wanting to commit to something so much
Mm.
in my earlier years that I had never really considered procedurals before. And then this role came along and it was just a guest star. It was a recurring guest star, possibly a series regular, but for the most part, just I think it was 6 episodes guaranteed.
Okay.
And I just remember seeing the role and being like, there's something different about this one. Like,
Hmm.
there's just something different. I have to try. I have to try for her. I mean, because she is such a unique character, especially for a procedural network show. So I had gotten that role. Um, and then I had signed on to be a series regular actually in season 5. And then COVID hit. And the
Oh,
episode
wow.
that would have solidified me as a regular got furloughed because of the shutdown. So then you're
Wow.
like waiting during COVID and
Oof.
you're just like waiting to come back. And then I got the call like, hey, we have to shift everything. Like,
Oh,
we would love to have you back, but we need to let you go for a while.
oh
So
my
I went
gosh.
away in season 6 and she went to rehab. And then I got a call out of the blue one day. I remember I was getting engaged in Alaska and I got a call being like, hey,
Oh my God,
would
I
you
love that.
want to, would you want to revive your character? And I remember it was one that I had like held on to so long because this was also a show the audition sides and the character was so special for some reason when I had read it. And then getting to be on set, it's the most welcoming and hardworking crew. Every crew I've gotten to work with is so hardworking, but this was the most welcoming set I had ever been a part of. And
Oh,
Nick Gelfis, who was my acting partner in this, basically the reason I got to come on the show, my introduction was such a joy and a lesson in itself, and I learned so much from him that I was really sad to have to go away. So when they had called, it was a no-brainer to come back. And one of those things too, where I remember like holding on to it, like they'll bring me back soon, and then you see the new poster and there's 2 new actors on there, and you're like,
oh no.
no. And it was literally, I think, like 2 months before I had completely written them off. I think I was like
Wow.
driving down Sunset Boulevard and I saw the poster and it had 2 new
No.
people and I wasn't on there and I was like, "You're dead to me." And then they call and I'm like, "Yes, I'll come back." So it was such
That's
an
so
interesting
funny.
experience.
That's
And
Wow.
then I
hysterical.
think I've gotten to do a lot of pilots and a lot of projects, and
Yeah.
I've gotten to reoccur in so many projects that I've been a fan of, but this is the first show I've gotten the gift of consistency. I mean, I've been on here now a total of 5 years, which is
Wow.
insane to be able to say and so rare these days as well. But to answer your question, our writers room and our showrunner are amazing, and I actually get a lot of space to be heard about the input that I have on Hannah. And
Great.
they know I'm very protective and passionate about her, but also just like the storyline as a whole. I very much look out for my character, but understand that we are a very large ensemble cast and we all affect each other. So being on a show like this with so many leads and so many people is a different exercise in storytelling and what that looks like. But they are incredibly thoughtful. And actually, it was one of the things where I helped to pitch the storyline of Hannah's pregnancy and all those different
Great.
things. And
Wow.
um, it's amazing how much they listen to us actors. And as long as you're being logical and thoughtful, I think that it's really nice to be able to share those things. And so much of what I've brought to them are so many concerns, even if they can't take it away or completely change it,
Yeah.
they're able to work with me. So it's an environment where I feel like, it took me 4 years to do it because you're just like, "Please don't fire me," and I'm still saying that, by the way. I still had a comment about Hannah the other day, and I'm like, "Please don't fire me." But but I really feel strongly about this. What do you think? Please? Yes? Good? So I feel like, I
That's
tread
great.
lightly, and at the same time, they're very respectful, and I do have a lot of input with Hannah because I've gotten to live in her shoes for so long, and there's been a
Right.
big turnaround in our writers' room and who's heading everything as well. So they
Yeah.
trust us to know who we are.
When you look at a series and a procedural like Chicago Med and you have like 22 and 20 episode seasons and and the storylines are so complex, like do you find it a little bit more fulfilling because you can have more context to your character? I feel like shows have changed so much into like mini series and we've had a lot of
Yeah.
conversations with a lot of producers around like, no, we've been given this order, 7 episodes, Netflix go, right? Like and then but
Mhm.
it's like you're not digging deep, right? It's very like, okay, this is the character, this is what their backstory and like one little soliloquy, and then you just go, right, with the
Right.
storyline. It's like when you're looking at these procedurals and why, when I look at like Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and all of these, it's like I love the fact that Chicago is a piece of a storyline in and of itself, but also just how you can contextualize your character and all of the backstories and bring that to bear. It's like, as an actress, what is that like for you?
That's such a great question. That's such a great question because there's benefits to both, right? When you have a
Yeah.
series that's about only 7 episodes, it feels like you don't get to know as much, but it's a little bit more movie based. It's a little bit more
Yeah.
it's where you're going more, so maybe you can fill it up in different ways or it needs to be decided there. Where it's almost like you guys asking me about input with my character on the show.
Yeah.
I tread lightly as well because the last thing that I want to do is take away the creativity that they could be giving me and not be a control freak and not let things blossom or
Yeah.
grow. And you learn in 22 episodes, you can't have control. You need to let things go where they need
Yeah.
to. And I think what's hard when you have so many episodes, sometimes with episodic, is you can get into repeating the same story so many times. So it's
Yeah.
like, how do you fill up the space while revisiting those things and moving forward? But sometimes you have so much space to fill that you find
Yeah.
yourself in this repetitive storyline. But I feel like what I've loved about, especially the last couple seasons we've gotten to do, is we're touching on those while moving forward. But I think that the trap of episodic 22, 24 episodes is
Yeah.
you can get stuck just redoing the same thing over and over. And that's why sometimes more of the mini series can be more bang for your buck, but also not as fun because you want even more bang for your buck. You want it to go on
Yeah.
longer and you want to know them better. But we definitely get to play things out longer and plant the seeds and have those develop more slowly as opposed to everything just needing to
Like,
happen
here's the story and
quickly.
go, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Joss and I have had conversations about this that, like, we both have teenage daughters, and they're starting to get into, like, some of, like, the '90s and early 2000s and those types of shows
Okay.
because they're 22 and 23 episodes long. Like, they
You
love
can
the Outer
dig
Banks of the world,
in.
but, like, when you dig in and it's something that, like, when you look at some of the episodics and you look at these shows, you fall in love with characters, you become attached to them because you can relate to them and you see their flaws, and
Yeah.
it's such a treat. Like, it's such a blessing when you have those types of characters because you get to evolve them, and then there's some backstory you learn, or, you actually see them as humans versus just characters. You invest in them, and then you get sad when certain things
Yeah.
end and continue and so forth. But it's one of those things that I think that's so amazing about storytelling. It's like what we were like, even going back to Once Upon a Time, you invest in Cinderella, you invest in these stories that you've
Yes.
heard over and over again, but it was just a unique take, right? And that's something where you're seeing it with a co-star or but it's
Yeah.
that type of characterization, and that's such the power of storytelling, right?
You get to live with it as it grows. And
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think that's why I say like the gift of consistency is so amazing because you get to see the ways that you can develop and grow on it. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden one day you find out your mom died in childbirth and you're like, I thought she would live next door to me. So this changes things. And then it's like, you
Gonna attack this scene a little differently.
yes, but like I love that is because you don't get set in your ways, and just as an
Yeah.
audience, like as an actor, you have to go with that flow. But I'm a person, I'm a big binger, and I
Yeah.
will choose things that have six seasons before I start because I want to live with it. I want to be in
Yeah.
it. I want
Oh, I'm
I
that
want to
way.
sit with my besties. Like
Yeah. It's a long-term companion that you're finding for
yeah,
yourself. Yeah.
you grow with them.
Yeah,
Yes.
like, I find at this stage when people even when they try to go back to how we grew up, where it's like 1 episode or we're gonna release 2 episodes this week, I'm like, "I can't do it, so I'll catch up when it's" because I just my viewing
When you
habits
have
have changed,
more.
but it's also just I wanna live with this person, like, taking the week-long break is just it's like, it's torture.
It does
Worse
feel
than it was
torturous.
because
It
it's like when
does.
we were kids, we didn't know any better. Now I know better, and I'm like, "I don't wanna
Right.
go back to that."
But I
It's so
will
hard.
say, I have noticed because I'll watch some amazing things. And if I go into full binge and it really
Yeah.
genuinely is only 6 to 7 episodes or something like that, I'll
Yeah.
be so invested and I'll get it in a day or two. That's upsetting to admit. But like I'll be with it or I'll come home after work and watch it for the week. But I feel like my memory is better when I get to wait. But that's also like it's rewiring yourself. But like I get
It's
to
true.
doing the once a week, it's like I hate it. And at the same time, there's something to look forward to. And
There
then it's
is.
also a discovery every week. And I just remember it in a different way than when I binge it, to be honest.
I
So
see
I do
that.
both.
I
Yeah.
also I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
the discourse period in between episodes. So like something like
Yeah.
Severance, for example, where everyone is so buzzy about all the theories and you're so excited and you're kind of talking to the fandom online, and that feels really fun and communal, and you're just like
Yes.
waiting for the next one to come out and you're like, I want to watch before I get spoilers. There's something exciting about being part of that rhythm. So there are benefits to it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
I have
it's so
my weekly
interesting.
shows and my binge shows. So I
Yes,
do both.
exactly. Yeah. What
Yeah.
are wait, what are some of your shows?
Right now, I have to admit, so I've never seen Friday Night Lights. So
We love.
okay,
We
I'm about to go
love.
on a binge of that. Like, I'm excited for
Oh,
those besties and Connie and everybody. Like, I'm really
beautiful.
excited to go
Yeah.
back. I'm also that person too, when something's huge, if I didn't start watching it right away, I don't know why, but I'm always like, I'm not doing that. And then I get into it later and I'm like, but have you seen Breaking Bad? Like, it's stupid
That's
how I
so
watched it.
funny.
So unless I'm like on that uptick, I'm out. But some of that is like I love nowadays. I go to movies or theater and I won't even look at the poster. I find it so fun
Mm.
to know absolutely
Wow.
nothing or like
Oh, that's
have the
awesome.
expectations of it. I feel like you get to go on the ride in a completely different way,
Yeah.
So,
It's
but
fun.
with TV, I have to admit right now, oh man, I'm not. It's quality in its own regard, but I am doing Love Island USA right now, so I am doing
Fun.
reality shows,
It's
but nothing
fun. It's a
scripted at
good
the
escape.
moment. Yeah,
It's a good escape. It really is. And you
yeah.
laugh. You really giggle because it's very
I
Well,
haven't
silly.
I haven't broached the reality television world.
If you
It's
start,
funny.
Love Island UK is where you start,
Yes.
and start. But
Fully agree.
so
Mhm.
my problem as well,
It's
we're talking
classy.
about
They're British.
yes.
It's classy.
So I'm a
Renee's
person
married to a
like,
Brit.
well, you also have to turn the subtitles on because you will learn so much. You
It's
will
true.
not.
The slang is unbelievable.
Oh
It's
my
a
gosh.
wild ride.
I
It's an
started
education.
that with my husband during COVID, and then I got into The Only Way is Essex. Like I went hard. I never
Oh,
did reality
wow.
TV, but I'm also the person I need to start from the beginning because I love to see the cultural shift. Like Kardashians, I don't want to
Yes.
start now. I want to
Yeah.
understand why we fell in love, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but I was watching, this is when I had to pull back from reality TV, is a casting director friend of mine had texted me, he's like, "Can you do a British accent?" And I was like, "Totally." So he sent me this audition, but nobody told me like we want Pride and Prejudice Keira Knightley accent. Okay.
No.
Nobody told me that.
British
I
accent. British is
Were
not
you
one
doing Love
accent. I have
Island?
learned
No.
that as like
I was doing Love Island Essex, okay? And the response that I got back from him was like, "It was a great audition." And I was like, "But notes?" And he was like, "You kind of went into like Rasta Irish at different times." He was like, it was this
That's so
combination.
that's
funny.
amazing.
And I
That's
also
amazing.
totally got like full dysmorphia as well because you're watching people and like over the change of time and where social media goes or when people start playing with their face in different ways, all of a sudden you're
So
starting to
funny.
watch yourself. And that's when I learned that binging can be very unhealthy because the
Mhm.
dysmorphia was real after watching. So I needed to take a
That's
break.
riot.
Uh,
But
Oh my
recently
gosh.
gave it a try, and have been happy. I feel like after a day, like we were just doing a laparoscopic surgery the other night for 10 hours. And then afterwards, I
Wow.
just need something that's in the background that I can get involved with. And then it's also like I don't love gossip and all of that, but if it's on TV, it's so much fun to partake in. So
yeah.
I have like my different friends where you're just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Sam did that. What an asshole." And you're not talking about your actual friends, so it's fine.
If you saw the text
Exactly.
message Shane that Jocelyn and I have with one of our other best friends about the summer I turned pretty, it would just be like
We were
can't
using that like it was
were
reality.
it was
as
like
if these were
reality.
real
We were like the
people.
40-year-old moms that you see on Instagram that were so invested in a
We
teenage
were
love
very
triangle.
involved.
We were
Yeah.
very involved.
Okay, so I got on my summer is pretty late. I feel like all my friends were like, "No, you have to, Jessy, you have to." And then I'm
So
the
good.
live texter friend. Like I will be watching.
Oh,
If you told me you've
fun.
seen the series,
Yeah.
I will be watching. And at 2 a.m, all of a sudden you'll be like, "I cannot believe he did that," or like, "Why is she choosing him?" Like,
Wait,
summer
Jessy,
I
add
turned
us to your
pretty.
text group. Can we be in your group,
Can we all be in
chat,
your group
please?
chat
That
because we
sounds so
get very
fun.
invested. Like ours are a little bit ridiculous, and then like we go into the Instagram world where we're like,
Mm,
really? Like, why is
Yes.
this
yeah.
the reality?
All the memes. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so
Oh,
we
funny.
go
memes
deep.
are the
We go
best.
deep.
But summer I turned pretty, man. That was one. It was one where I was like, okay. And then there was also the kissing booth, or there were some
Yep.
that came out
Yes.
that just reminded me of like growing up in the rom-coms that we had. Because I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
rom-coms kind of went away for a little, but my comfort zone are rom-coms. Like at any hour
Mm.
of the day, I'll turn it on. And I also commit. So if it's a series or a movie that I'm not feeling, if I've gotten to a certain point, I like to see it through and I like to see
Yeah.
what's working or not. So like even Love Island, like that's character study, like that's
It is.
a whole different thing. And as a
Accent
producer of mine,
study.
it's a cultural study,
Truly.
okay? And then it's a
Yeah.
personal one of like who I am that person though. I remember we were watching Narco and Queen of the South, and we were
Wow.
for
So good.
some reason my husband loves documentaries, and I'm the one
Yeah.
like I want and I want the stories. I want to get lost, and like reality can be so hard sometimes. Like I'll watch Penguins with you, but I really don't want to watch these other things right now. But we were doing the full blown like Narco, Queen of the South, which I loved that. Seeing the woman in that role was so fun. And then we were doing some documentaries about like drug trap, and that was just one where all of a
Yeah.
sudden like we'd like be driving around LA and I was like, "Wait, stop the car." He'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "Something's about to happen right there." And he's like, "Oh my God, you're crazy." 5 minutes later, there was a hand. Like I then get so invested, or like Sopranos, had to stop watching it the first time around because all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, so where are you going tonight?" Like I get so invested in this series.
My husband was like, the one show that was actually like X'd off of art was The Affair with like Josh Jackson. He was like, "You're not allowed to watch the show." We watched like
Okay.
the first episode and he was like, and all of a sudden I was like, and like, I love but he was like, no.
No.
This show is off limits to you. It's going to give you way too many like crazy batshit ideas. We're not doing this.
Pretty
Okay.
sexy.
That is actually what I was just binging before so I needed a cleanse because
Oh.
by the way, that show is absolutely amazing. Like,
It really is.
but I
I'm
haven't
still
watched
not
it
allowed
for
to watch it
years.
10 years into
You're
my
like, I
marriage. I'm
wouldn't
still
know.
not allowed to watch
I
it.
don't
It's like
That's so
on
funny.
the do
It is
not
very
watch
good.
list.
It's so well
just
acted.
and my love for Pacey and Josh Jackson, like, I can't. Like,
It was
so
one I always
oof.
told myself not to watch it because I get too involved mentally
Yeah.
as a viewer in it, but it was one where finally the other day I was like, "You know what? I have been doing more fluffy. I need to get back
Mm.
into this other thing, and it's such a critically acclaimed show, and maybe I can handle it." And it was one where, there were a couple fights along the way in watching that one, but we're fine.
Oh my gosh,
Oh
it's
my
so
God, that's
funny.
hysterical.
Yeah.
Wait, Jessy, you mentioned rom-coms and really loving that genre, and that's making me think about no, Hallmark
Yeah.
isn't total rom-com, but more like romantic and the beautiful storytelling of Hallmark. What
Yeah.
has that experience been like for you? I know the fandom is so wonderful at Hallmark,
Yeah.
like Hallmarkies, right? Is that the fandom?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about your Hallmark life and what that's been like
Oh
for
my
you.
gosh. Well, I actually just got to see, I did a movie this year. So on December 13th, I'll have a movie coming out with Dominic Sherwood. And it was so fun to watch it because I feel like there's been a journey. I started on Hallmark as the daughter of Leah Thompson in this mystery mini series. It was about 10 episodes. And so coming back, the first one that I ever did was this really rich girl that goes to the farm and it was very Goldie Hawn-esque and everything, and
Cute.
it had so much comedy in it and so much physical comedy. I tend to lean towards naturally drama and just
Yeah.
I think more subtle and serious. And so I love getting to do Hallmark because I do get to play with the comedy. It's not always as broad or as big as some of the other movies, but I love love. I love getting to blush. I love getting to do
Great.
that. And I think the Hallmark world, one, it's such an amazing family to be a part of. They really treat their actors fantastically, and to be able to be part of something that brings so much joy. Like, I think there was that thing when I first started doing it, you're like, okay, here's this movie that's coming out, and I didn't really understand the impact of these movies. And
Yeah.
since I've gotten to star in my first one, I think maybe 10 years ago now, it's grown even more. And then there's Christmas in July that came up, and
Yes.
There's so many mystery series. Like, they've expanded their
Yeah.
content so much.
there's mystery, and so many people know Hallmark for Christmas, but like my favorite, to be honest, are like the harvest season. I've gotten
Yeah.
to do
Cute.
I love harvest season and like winter, and it's not just Christmas. If anything, I feel like you
Yeah.
get to do more in the other seasons, because it's still a main character, but not as much. But I think getting to be a part of something that means so much to people, that is the
Yeah.
thing that's on the background or something that they're watching with their family or that's looking forward to and playing in the middle of July. And I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people
Yeah.
talk
So
about
nice.
knowing what's going to happen, but it's like, yeah, you actually like knowing that there's going to be this result and things will be okay, which
This
is also,
happy
I think, why
ending.
you're so excited to go on the ride during it, is because you can brace yourself, but you don't need to brace yourself to the point where you don't know if you'll be okay afterwards.
Yeah.
You're so right. It's calming to the nervous system.
It's-
It's a really
Yeah.
truly enjoyable experience to watch
I was,
a Hallmark
Yeah.
movie.
I was telling Joss I started nestling it at night to Hallmark already, like the Christmas
Oh,
story.
really?
Oh yeah, I was just like, I need happy stuff because like I went through that period of watching those Netflix about the girls that go traveling, and then everybody was like dying at the end, and I'm like,
Oh.
what?
Mhm.
Like where
So
where did we
stressful.
get to this? I was like, it's so stressful. It's like
You're like looking up van life, trying to purchase a Sprinter van, and then you keep going along the way. Like it's
I'm like, I just want a happy love story. People just want love and happiness and joy. Like, it's okay. It's okay to be
It's
joyful.
a good moment for
We
that.
can give
Yeah.
permission to be
for joy.
joyful.
You
I
need
feel
it.
like as an actor, there was always that thing where it's like, oh no, you have to play the brooding person or what those things are. And by the way, I get to say this with being insanely lucky that I have not been stereotyped to the point where I don't get to play different roles. Some
Yeah.
of the brooding
That is
characters
great.
don't get to play the happy ones. So it's like I've really gotten to touch base into so many genres and so many characters. And I really love getting to bring happiness as well as getting to be, the two girls in the Netflix drama or something like that.
Yeah.
To get to do variety is amazing, but there is a really amazing gift that you get to get back by bringing happiness. And I think it was when I was filming Nashville, I was going back and forth from LA to Nashville a lot. And it was in the airport that I started realizing the effect of Hallmark movies, because
Mhm.
anytime I would be in there,
Midwest.
you'd
with
think it was like a
Kansas.
specific audience, and it was like
Wow.
the football player, it was the ex-vet
Cute.
that's coming up. It's like
Wow.
the range of people that these
Yeah.
movies touch are not all what people think that they are. So it's pretty amazing the amount of hospital rooms and hotel rooms
Wow.
and libraries and all
Yeah.
different places that these movies get to play. And while they're safe, they're also really enjoyable. And I feel like they
Yeah.
do share a
Absolutely.
good message. And they're only growing into adding more comedy and adding more of
Yeah.
those rom-com like the com
Yes.
elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of more what I've been looking for when I'm looking at the scripts from Hallmark is where do we get to add the comedy? Or if it's not comedy,
Right.
how do we ground it in something that's really touching you and bringing you on the ride to make you
Yeah.
feel like you felt something, you know?
That's
I love that.
awesome. Jessy, when you have time off, are you a big reader? Do you have books that you're like excited about going into the Christmas like and obviously you're going to be in this promotion for Hallmark soon. So
Yes.
I assume you're going to like the big Kansas City event that they're doing and so
I'll
forth.
be going to the Christmas experience. I got to go last year and honestly, I was so humbled by it. Like it was again, I feel like whenever I talk about the Hallmark Channel, I talk about it
Yeah.
being a gift. Like the fans are amazing, but also the experience to on Chicago Med, we're working 10 months out of the year. And then I'll get to go do
Wow.
movies or you're always working. And there's a lot of, what the internet says or what reviews say. And there's so much, I think, where you're isolated making your work all the time and getting to go to an event where you see the effect of what you're doing and that like you're not just doing it for yourself and your resume and here's one more week of something. You see that it matters to people is beyond humbling. And it just like makes you go back to work with a different pep in your step and responsibility. So I love those
Right.
events because while they're really fun and joyful, it's very humbling that like you're like, how do you know my name? Why are you watching that movie with me in it? That's crazy. It like reminds you of
Right.
what you're doing and where you're coming from. Reading, I used to be such a big reader. I was like Pillars of the Earth, Ken Follett kind of girl. Like I love reading.
I just gave that to my mother-in-law. She had
Did
never
you
read it
really?
before. Yeah, I just gave her that and the Charm School.
Oh my God. Okay. So I was Sweet Valley twin girl growing up. Like
Yeah.
I used to love reading and I have to be honest that recently I've been asking for recommendations. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. Patty Murin just gave me some and that was awesome. But I have a hard time because there's so many scripts and so many rewrites that are
Yeah.
coming in
That you're
that
constantly.
I tend to read scripts as the
Of
entertainment.
course.
And
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back into, imagination as opposed to just work because reading feels like a job at this point, and I miss the joy of reading. So
Yeah.
I forgot what I'm reading right now. It was about a girl. Oh, Heartwood. Did you read that?
Ooh,
I
I haven't
didn't.
read that.
I loved that. I mean, it's a woman that goes lost in the woods.
Okay.
So he's on one of the trails. And I'm somebody that used to be like my husband's a professional rock climber, and so like used to be
Oh.
in the outdoor world. So I was just like,
Okay.
man, I've always wanted to hike these trails. And she goes lost, and it's the story of the sheriff trying to find her, and then the woman that's online, looking her up,
Yeah.
how they get to
Oh.
her. But it was a good reintroduction to reading or the strings, the strings
Yeah.
that tell you your lifeline too. So I
Yeah.
looked to Patty Murin for recommendations for books, but otherwise it's unfortunately just scripts.
Yeah. I'm not I
Makes
can't give
sense.
you a lot. It's like just finished The Nightingale.
Oh,
Obviously they're making that into a movie. That's a classic with Kristen Hanna. And then I actually just bought the new Dan Brown book.
oh,
That just came out, like another Robert Langdon, just because
okay.
I'm like a 60-year-old man trapped in my like
There's just cigar smoke in your house
they're,
at all
they're just
times.
like, it's just
Yeah.
turn the lights down low. Just but no, I just bought that one, but I'm like more into like nonfiction these days for some
Yeah.
reason these days. Yeah, I'm completely in like going back to like reason and theology and all that stuff right now, just because I feel like I'm uneducated in that area right now.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I tend to do a lot of like self-help books and
Yeah,
meditation and world and all of that
same.
kind of health books and all of that. So it's like trying to carve out time for me. It's like now I'm like, wait, no. I'm done learning for 5 seconds. Let me imagine
Watch a
again.
Hallmark special
Let me watch a
Yes.
Hallmark
and
movie.
find joy.
Yes.
Good
I love it.
plan.
Oh my gosh. Jessy, it has been so much fun to chat with you today. We
Yes,
so
you guys
appreciate
too.
it.
Thank you so much for having me. And I was listening to your podcast. I loved your Martha Plimpton episode. Like it was so lovely to listen to, and it's really fun hearing what all the
Yeah.
different women are saying with their careers and all that stuff. And there's such
Thank
a
you.
variety that you guys have. And this was so much fun talking to you. I was very
Nice.
nervous, so thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
thank you
we
so
were
much.
nervous. We thank you.
Yeah.
It's always fun to talk to people, and it's like you're just so lovely. So thank you
Oh,
so
you guys,
much.
thank you so
Truly.
much. Thanks for your time. And it was really fun to get to do this. So thank you.
Thank you for listening to In Her Words. We hope you'll join us at womenandentertainment.com and go to our Substack for extended interviews and behind-the-scenes access.